I asked ChatGPT to create an alternative history timeline where Germany won World War I. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna rate this alternative history based on these 4 criteria: predictability, consistency, spiciness, and a mystery one I'm going to reveal later. Let's ask the most obvious question to the ChatGPT. What's the turning point for Germany?
The game changer is the Spring Offensive of 1918. Unlike real history, it goes really well for the Central Powers, thanks to better planning, supply advantages, and neutralizing US involvement. Germany gains back lost territories like Alsace-Lorraine and parts of Belgium and Luxembourg, plus some new land in the former Russian Empire.
The point where the AI decided to diverge from our timeline is very interesting because in our timeline, Germany had absolutely 0.00001% chance of succeeding in the Spring Offensive. Like, imagine one day you're chilling in your trench and your officer tells you the generals ordered us to run at the machine guns. The machine gun? Yeah, and over the barbed wire. Over the barbed wire? And into the artillery strikes. Hello? So to suggest that Germany had some kind of a chance to win at this tactic is pretty bizarre, but the AI knows best, right? But I hear you guys asking, what happened to France? No, probably nobody thought of this, but let's ask the AI anyway.
The French Communist Revolution, 1920s-1930s. A fiery communist leader named Marcel Dubois starts the Red Banner movement, aiming to overthrow the government. The revolution begins in 1923 when French troops crack down on war veterans' protests.
I really don't get people who say that AI is gonna take over the world or take our jobs. I asked an AI to generate me a video about the French Communist Revolution, and it spit out this. Bro, we're fine. AI ain't taking our job.
Ultimately, the communist forces triumphed, establishing a socialist state closely aligned with the Soviet Union.
What do you mean by the Soviet Union? The AI said absolutely zero things about a communist revolution in Russia.
Russian Revolution and Civil War, 1917 to 1923. Formation of the Russian Federation. After the Civil War, Russia remains a federation of semi-autonomous regions, each with its own degree of self-governance.
Alright, it's 100% confirmed now. The AI was tripping about the Soviet Union.
The British Nationalist Revolution, 1920s-1930s.
Yo, chill there AI, I haven't asked you about that.
In the aftermath of Britain's defeat in World War I, economic hardship and discontent gripped the nation. A nationalist leader named Edward Sinclair emerges, advocating for British nationalism. In 1925, a peaceful nationalist demonstration in London turns violent, sparking mass protests across British cities. The climax of the revolution unfolds at the Battle of Westminster in 1926, where nationalist forces, with military support, capture the British Parliament.
The only thing that I understood from this interaction is that the AI really likes to talk about fascism.
The rise of the United African Republic, UAR, 1920s-1930s.
Ah shit, here we go again.
In 1930, the African Liberation War begins with small-scale revolts across the continent, coordinated by the PALC. Prominent leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, and Patrice Lumumba emerge as important figures in the fight for African independence.
Excuse me, Mr. AI, would you like to repeat these names?
Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, and Patrice Lumumba of Congo. Are you stupid?
Damn. A little bit too real.
The United African Republic Declaration, 1936. PALC leaders declare the establishment of the United African Republic, UAR, in 1936, uniting several newly independent African nations.
I just realized we have been talking about France, Britain, Africa, but we haven't asked the second most important question. What happened to Austria-Hungary? Okay, I can't put that in the video, it's too long, everybody will get bored. AI, please shorten it a little bit. It is still too long, shorten even more! Bro, now it's too short! Okay, you know, I'm giving up, you're getting the short version.
In the 1920s, Austria-Hungary faced ethnic tensions, economic struggles, political instability, and rising nationalism. These factors led to its eventual breakup.
Just think about it, I could have saved so much time editing by just putting some Subway Surfers gameplay in the background. Hear me out, wouldn't it be actually really cool if there was some kind of a quirky anarchist revolution somewhere?
The Second Barcelona Uprising of 1935 becomes a pivotal moment in Spain's story. An anarchist separatist coalition launches a violent uprising, leading to the secession of Catalonia and the Basque Country. These regions declare independence, while the rest of Spain adopts a unique form of governance with decentralized anarchist communes.
Man, I fucking love anarchist government, because they're the epitome of baseness. No army, no government, no bullshit. Do you guys hear this music?
Japan's expansion in the 1930s and 1940s. In the 1930s and 1940s, Japan, under a nationalist government, aggressively expanded its territory and influence in Asia. The Marco Polo Bridge incident in 1935 intensified hostilities with China, leading Japan to demand territorial concessions. After a brief war on the Chinese mainland, the Chinese government succeeded most of the seaside regions. In 1940, Japan launched a surprise attack on the US Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor, drawing the United States into conflict. This sparked a series of island-hopping campaigns by Japan, capturing Pacific islands for strategic bases. As Japan advanced toward the American mainland, a nuclear standoff emerged. with both sides aware of the catastrophic consequences of a nuclear confrontation. Who will launch the first shot?
Ain't gonna lie to you guys, Japan. I'm definitely rooting for Team USA. Absolutely nothing good came out of Japan. Anime sucks, and it's also cringe. Technologies that they make are absolutely goddamn useless. And the women are definitely ugly bitch. I just wondered, what is happening in Europe in this time?
The war for Austro-Hungarian reunification.
Could you repeat that?
The war for Austro-Hungarian reunification.
Nope, I wasn't dreaming, it's real.
Tensions between the Mediterranean Red Alliance, MRA, a coalition of socialist nations like France, Portugal, Catalonia, Ruthenia, and Corsica, and Germany reached a boiling point over the fate of Austro-Hungary. The conflict escalated with the MRA interpreting German military exercises as a prelude to invasion. The Battle of the Danube in 1950 marked a fierce confrontation, leading to heavy casualties. The turning point arrived at the Battle of Vienna, 1953, marked by massive offensives and widespread destruction. Despite early MRA gains, resource strains and Germany's efficiency led to its advantage. In 1954, a ceasefire agreement ended the war.
Yeah, I definitely gets a creativity point there because nobody, and I mean nobody predicted that the world would go to war again over the reunification of Austria-Hungary.
The ceasefire agreement, 1950. In a harrowing turn of events, the devastating impact of Japan's nuclear attacks on several major US cities, including New York City, Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles, in 1945 led to catastrophic consequences. By 1950, diplomatic negotiations result in a ceasefire agreement between Japan and the United States.
Unfortunately for me, the USA did not succeed in this one. I'm gonna have to give this alternative history timeline a 6 out of 10 on the predictability scale, because there were quite a lot of stereotypes used, like the communist revolution in France and the Russian Federation, but also at the same time there was a literal war over the reunification of Austria-Hungary. The biggest problem in making this timeline was dealing with the inconsistencies of ChatGPT. The AI just doesn't understand the flow of history. It can't remember that if I tell it that France is a communist government, it should stay a communist government. And something else that I really found interesting is that ChatGPT really hates wars. I needed to force it into scenarios where two nations would inevitably go to war for it to just start one. And as you have probably noticed, it doesn't really like to end wars. It just kinda makes a ceasefire and nothing really changes. And because of all these factors, I'm gonna give the AI a 2 out of 10 on consistency. Do I even need to talk about spiciness? We had an anarchist government, a fascist government, a communist government, a democratic government, and also a nuclear standoff. 9 out of 10 spiciness. And for the mystery one, I got an alternative history expert to rate how good this timeline would do in a movie. What do you think of the alternative history scenario?
Man, it's alright, I guess. It's like a 6.5. No, 6.75.
Okay. Thank you for watching and bye.